Welcome, everyone, to the Week 10 series of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you had not had the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsayingnogwjs for article and video updates. The late afternoon Sunday games kick off with the great one, where the number 5 overall pick in this year's draft and the number 6 overall pick in this draft take on each other when the Chargers take on the Miami Dolphins. Jack, tell us a little bit about that game.
Yeah, I'm loving this battle of rookie quarterbacks right now. Miami, we've talked about them the last couple of weeks. They've looked fantastic on all sides of the ball, special teams, defense. But really what we're looking at is the two quarterbacks right now. And Justin Herbert playing great, since he took over at the helm here week 2. 67% completion right now, 17-5 touchdown interception ratio. This guy's not turning the ball over. I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be very interesting. And right now the Chargers are 5th best in passing, so it's going to be great to see them go up against Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, and that combo right there in Miami.
Yeah, it's a great one. The Chargers seem to be so close to winning games and then just giving up right there at the end each week. It's a little sad to see, but what's great about this matchup is this is the matchup of like the future that we're going to continue to watch. These guys are drafting the same draft class, always a big thing. One draft pick apart, maybe the Dolphins should have gone Herbert. Maybe, what could have been. It's going to be one of those situations. So always a lot of fun to get these ones going.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the Dolphins right now, and I'm seeing no Preston Williams, who was kind of Tua's target the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit interesting seeing him no longer on there. He's going to be a little bit more reliant on Devontae Parker, on Mike Gesicki to try to get open, Jakeem Grant, and to try to find ways to score. It's a fairly decent Chargers defense. While they've given up a lot of points, they still have playmakers.
Yeah. No, I know it's true. And there's just people coming in and out of that Chargers defense right now. We've seen Kenneth Murray, a rookie we were very big on, coming in this year, really take over that middle linebacker position. We're looking over at the Chargers right now, just as a team. As you said, the last 2 weeks, they've had literally the last second of the game was taken away from them, having the lead. Very, very upsetting to see. That touchdown last week, that was called back. Very upsetting to see. You just don't want to play that kind of football where you can't win the one-possession games. I want to see both of these teams just really get into some situational football and expose these, two rookie quarterbacks from both sides, as the defenses have been doing. It's going to come down to Miami being as disciplined as they've been the last couple of weeks. But I am going to take the Chargers with this one. I love Justin Herbert. I love what Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry are doing this year. I want to see, big production out of this offense. They have had a running back carousel and still getting stuff done. I'm loving what they're doing. I'm going with the Chargers. What about you?
I got to defer from you. I'm going to take Tua. I believe in the Tua time. I like what the Dolphins have been doing. They're riding a 3-game win streak. Two of them coming with Tua. He's been great. He's been solid. I think he's going to get his 3rd straight win. It's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, but I think Tua is going to get the win here.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we're just excited to see the two rookie quarterbacks going on. They, like you mentioned, their careers will probably be, symmetrically placed in a lot of different conversations over the years, and this is just going to be the start of that. Next game, we're taking down in New Orleans, 6-2, New Orleans Saints, who, they were fantastic last week, taking on the 49ers, who were not as fantastic last week, and we got to see both of these teams in very different primetime game situations.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the Super Bowl hangover or the injuries of the 49ers, but they have just not looked like the team of last year. I mean, it's a combination of both for sure. Jimmy G, no George Kittle, no Deebo Samuel, no Raheem Mostert, and then you got no Solomon Thomas, no Joey Bosa, no Richard Sherman. It's like the injury list is endless for them. They got embarrassed by the Packers, a team that they embarrassed last year twice. And I'm looking at the Saints team now with Michael Thomas back, who's healthy finally. He's back on the field for fantasy owners, so people must be really happy. Only had five receptions in his first game back for 51 yards. I think he's looking at a 100-yard game, quite honestly, against this team. I think we're going to see Michael Thomas come back and just get put on notice to the NFL. I'm back. I'm healthy. Watch out. don't forget what I did last year, breaking the most receptions ever by a wide receiver in a single season.
Yeah, we don't want to forget Michael Thomas. We just have not been able to see him on the field yet this year until last week, besides week 1 after that ankle injury. But I agree, the Saints right now are looking dangerous. Their defense came to play last week against Brady. They are starting to get pieces back from injury. Like you mentioned, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara is looking like an offensive player of the year candidate. And Drew Brees is just doing his thing. He's, getting all of these short yard plays to, build long drives, exposing other teams defensively. I want to see this Saints defense just step up this week and, prove that they can do what they did last week to Tom Brady. The Niners are a perfect offense to do that for right now. With Nick Mullins starting, this is going to be a tough matchup for the 49ers. So I'm going to go with the Saints on this one.
Yeah, I don't think the Saints are going to lose at home in the Metrodome. I don't think they're going to lose the 49ers. What sucks about this game is last year it was such an exciting, high-scoring game. I think that's what we all really wanted to see when you were looking at this matchup before all the injuries happened to the 49ers. I don't see it being nearly as high-scoring as it was last year. I do think it's going to be a little bit more of a one-sided affair where the Saints are just going to kind of dominate this game in pretty much all areas.
Yeah, it's going to be on, the run game for 49ers team to just keep the clock away from, Drew Brees, keep the ball away from him, just can't, eat that clock up until the game is over if they can keep a lead. I don't see too many, options here for them, especially with, Tevin Coleman out, Deebo Samuel out again. These are guys that make huge plays for this team, and it's going to be a tough one. So I think the Saints right there are very safe, but this next one here is going to be possibly it could be my game of the week. But Buffalo Bills going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. And we got 2 quarterbacks that have just been slinging it this year, getting it done. We got 2 winning teams right now, and I just got to ask, who do you got in this game? We got this is going to be a shootout.
This is a tough one because it feels like Josh Allen's back. He had a great game last week. He was just throwing the ball all over the Seattle Seahawks. Granted, they are the worst secondary in the NFL currently. I'll just want that to be out there, but still 415 yards, 31 for 38, 3 touchdowns. Then he tacked on 14 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground last game. That's what you want to see from Allen. He kind of got away from that for a couple games. Now seems like they're kind of finding their rhythm, and which is a good time to do that because this Cardinals team is a very, very solid team. They're tied for second in the NFC West. They're not going to go down in this game easily.
Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be one of those games where either team just gives the fight up. I think Kyler Murray and the way that this offense is playing right now is electric. And as you mentioned, the Bills, sure, they played the Seahawks last week, but it's not like he didn't expose them, It's like he went there, and of course they're giving up the most yards per game ever. But the crazy thing is, if you go in there and he came out and had a 200-yard game, we'd be questioning him. He went in there and he tore them apart last week. Absolutely dumb. And we're talking about a guy week 1 we were talking about never had over 260 yards, and then this year broke that. This guy he's throwing 300 yards a week. He's got Stephon Diggs, your boy from Minnesota. Like, he is going ham. But I got to ask here. Not only do we have 2 great receivers in this, but we have 2 great corners. So what is the bigger matchup here? Tre'Davious White as a corner for the Buffalo against DeAndre Hopkins, or Patrick Peterson going up against Stephon Diggs?
I love Stephon Diggs, and this is not a dig on him. I literally, since the day the Vikings drafted him, as you know, Jack, I was like, this is going to be our guy of the future. I was wrong. He was not our guy of the future. We decided
He's got the near future.
Yeah, it was upsetting. I don't want to digress into that,
of course.
But I think when you look at what these 2 wide receivers has done in their career, Hopkins is the more dangerous threat. Yeah. That means Tre'Davious White, you cannot let him get going. What is so terrifying to me about this offense is how well they're operating. They are really being able to pass the ball well. Christian Kirk is now emerging as a really, really solid wide receiver too. Over the last 3 games, 12 receptions, 246 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
For the team. It really feels like they're just like a tight end away. Don't know why they didn't trade for Njoku or OJ Howard.
Maybe about that.
But but it really feels like they are just a tight end away from being a dominating offensive powerhouse.
Yeah, I cannot believe that, Arizona was so bad just a couple of years ago. And what it took really was just this Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury matchup. I'm very, very excited to see what happens between, these are just going to be two great teams going up
Yeah.
against each other. It's great to see a top like AFC team and a high powered NFC team, and they just get to go right at it. And you get to see them really, this is one of those games where you get to say, Arizona's beaten some teams, but how good are they? Like, if they beat the Bills this week, they have my respect. But I am going to go with the Bills on this one. I think Josh Allen is playing so well, oh my gosh, he's fantastic this year. The way we've discredited him in the past, the struggles he's had, we see none of that this year. He's cleaned up a lot. He's put a lot of work in. But Diggs, fantastic. I think John Brown being back is big. I want to see this run game get going. As I've been saying for Buffalo, they need to get the run game going. I would love to see Singletary and Moss really, get some touches in this one, try to make it hard for Arizona on the ground. And this is going to be very, very interesting. I just want to see the Bills take this one in Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going to defer. I don't think that the Bills are going to be able to get it done this week. Like I was talking about with them, with the Cardinals, their offense is flying right now. I know that they haven't necessarily converted the high-flying offense into W's all the time.
Yeah.
But they're still a solid offense. They're going to be really hard to beat. I don't love what the running back situation of the Bills is. It feels like we're talking about the Cardinals being one tight end away from being an elite offense. The Bills are just one running back away from being an elite offense as well. But because they can't lean on that run game necessarily to be able to run out the clock, they're going to be a little bit more reliant on Josh Allen and what he can do, both running the ball and passing the ball. I'm going to lean towards the Cardinals. I think that Kyler Murray right now is having a great season. 16 touchdowns, 8 of them are also on the ground, bring him to a total of 24. I think that Kyler is going to be able to get it done. I think he has the weapons around him to beat this Bills defense.
Yeah, I love that. This is going to be a great quarterback matchup. I'm very excited.
They also will not drop 2 in a row at home. They're not going to do that. They know how important this win is in the tough NFC West division.
Definitely.
Again, they're tied for second with the Rams, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, and they know that they need to win this game if they want to win, to possibly win the NFC West and just to make it to the playoffs.
I want to see Arizona do well. I think that the NFC West, I'd love to see all 3 of those top teams get in there. I think it'd make it very competitive for the NFC. But
not 3 from them. Let's NFC North.
Yeah.
Bears, Packers, Vikings. Somehow.
Once the Giants get in with a 4-win season, we'll see we'll see who the real ones are. But the next one, so close. And the next one we got only undefeated team still, Pittsburgh handling. Joey B, number 1 overall pick, Heisman, coming in, running it up. Here we go. How are we feeling about Joey B and the Steelers defense this week in his first game ever against this division opponent?
Look, I think that the Steelers are going to win this one. I don't think it's a real going to be a tough matchup for them. They lead the team. They lead the league in sacks at 32, which is impressive. They're one of the best defenses. Roethlisberger is officially going to play after being put on the COVID reserve list, by the way. To anyone who wasn't aware of that, he was activated. He'll be there. He'll be ready to play on Sunday. That's a huge bonus for them. I think that this is going to be a great matchup. And the reason why is just because, like you were talking about, Joey Bosa, Joe Burrow, the number 1 overall pick and former Heisman Trophy winner, who has carried this team and looks really, really good. He looks like a veteran. He does not look like a rookie right now, but he struggled against good defenses. When he played the Ravens earlier this season, he couldn't get the job done. They could only put up 3 points. They weren't moving the ball very efficiently. And now they're going up against another great defense. And he's gotten a little taste of what it means to be in the AFC North. What does it mean to play in these divisional games in the AFC North, which is a tough division. These games mean a lot. There's a lot of tradition, history. They're scrappy. And he got blown up by the Ravens, and now he has to go up against another great defense. I think that it's just going to be a little bit too much for them. Bud Dupree and TJ Watt are going to be going after him all the time. He's going to need Higgins to continue to be his guy. He's not going to have Joe Mixon, most likely, who looks to be doubtful for the game. We don't expect him to play. to run the ball against them. I think it's going to be hard. And AJ Green, who has a lot of receptions and a lot of targets, still hasn't found the end zone.
Yeah.
He's going to need to find the end zone, but I don't feel like Minkah Fitzpatrick in the secondary is going to let them do that. While I think Joe Burrow is a great quarterback, he's definitely the future. I think he's a great quarterback. This is not going to be the game where he's able to get it done just yet against the Steelers. Let's look for 2021 to beat the Steelers once you get a few more weapons in for him.
Yeah, I think that the Steelers take this one. For me, you just mentioned a lot of it right there. Just it's going to be the weapons that he has against this weapon. The weaponry of the Steelers defense. It's going to be what the Steelers have done all year. One thing you were talking about earlier was the fact that Big Ben. He had 42 pass attempts last week. Connor only running the ball 9 times. I think that they're going to run Connor a lot, especially with mixing out. The Bengals don't really have their guy to get it done for them on the ground. So I'm going to go with the Steelers on that one. I think that it's just a smart choice right now. They could go 9-0. It's also very impressive.
You're talking about the run game. The Bengals are 29th in rushing yards allowed in a game. And like you just said, 42 pass attempts for Big Ben last week. That's not what you want to see him do. Not that he can't do it, not that he can't win a game like that, but if you have the ability to run the ball well like they can against this team and utilize James Conner a little bit more, it's going to make Big Ben's passing game all the better, all the easier. And I think this is going to be a game where they're able to do it, especially with the Bengals having no Geno Atkins again. It's just there's no interior defensive lineman to hold that down. So Steelers are going to take advantage of that.
I think I agree. I just think at 9-0 is inevitable for them right now. One team that we got another divisional matchup. You were talking about divisions in the AFC West. We got the Raiders hosting the Broncos. These are two teams right now that the Broncos they had a slow start to the year, a lot of injuries. The Raiders right now they're trying to stay in this playoff hunt, but what do they got to do to beat Denver and just get this job done?
I think it's gonna be on Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow. He only threw for 165 yards last week. You want to see a few more yards. I mean, it was a clean game for him all around.
Yeah.
They did have a slight comeback towards the end there against the Chargers, I believe that they were playing. So this is going to be one of those games where Derek Carr, I want to see a little bit more of you, mainly because you're my fantasy quarterback this week with Mahomes on a bye. I won't lie. But I want to see a little bit more of him. I really want to see them utilize Henry Ruggs. I want to see Waller, who has 10 red zone touchdowns this season. I want to see him get in the end zone again. Let's bring that number up more. I want to see Josh Jacobs running the ball a little bit more. I think that this Raiders offense has a lot. I think it's a really fun offense on paper, and I want to see it now finally kind of mesh into one awesome offense under John Gruden that can take down Vic Fangio's defense.
Yeah, I really want to see. I just want to see on the other side of the ball. I just want to see Drew Lock. He has had some interesting play this year after he was hurt. He had a game-winning touchdown last week. But Jerry Jeudy is really getting it done on the offense, and Noah Fant, he has had some injuries as well. But I'm excited to see this Denver team down the stretch and just see them improve. The Raiders, I'm going to take in this game. They have the 9th best rushing attack with Josh Jacobs right now. I really do believe that they can expose this Denver defense that's very middle of the pack. They've taken hits throughout this year. So I really want to just, I'm going to go with the Raiders here as my gut. I like Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, as you mentioned, Derek Carr. There's a lot of upside there.
Yeah, I just wanted to I said 10 red zone touchdowns this year. I meant to say 10 red zone touchdowns from 2019 to this year. He's only one behind Devontae Adams. Wow. So you guys know where he is at currently. I am also going to take the Raiders. I feel like what we've seen from the Broncos is the occasional 3/4 of meh play on the offense and Drew Lock, and then fourth quarter, all of a sudden, amazing play against a Raiders team that beat the Chiefs and has shown that we can be a high-scoring team. That's not going to work for them. That won't be the recipe for success with the Broncos. If you're the Raiders, run it down their throats, utilize the play action, hit Darren Waller and Henry Ruggs, who I don't want to say is a bust because it's so early on in the season. Still, it's so early on in his career, but he's been a little bit disappointing. Only 10 catches, 220 yards, and 1 touchdown. I want to see him find the end zone this week against a weak defense. But what's also impressive at that same time is 10 receptions for 220 yards. That means that's every time he's catching the ball, it's at least 22 yards downfield. So let's see that happen more. Come on, let's go.
That's the whole thing with Henry Ruggs too. Just want to point that out. 21 targets on the year, 10 catches. That's really because he's not getting high accuracy passes. He's getting balls that he needs to run very far down the field to even try to get. He's being contested on these catches, but his big play ability, if you miss out on that opportunity, fantasy-wise or something, it's a tough thing. But he is struggling right now. I hope he's going to be a beast, though, Henry Ruggs.
Absolutely.
Early in his career, but it's a beast. Couple of beasts coming up in this next matchup. A couple of good teams. Seattle to LA to play the Rams. Rams looking good this year, despite some issues in their run game. But Jared Goff may be primed for the biggest game he's had this year, strictly because of what we said before. This Seattle defense is terrible.
Yeah, this Seahawks defense is bad, and Kupp and Woods are great wide receivers. But I don't know what it is. It somehow feels like a trap game. Like it seems too good on paper for Jared Goff to throw 4 touchdowns. I don't know why, but it feels like just one of those where you in fantasy, especially where you're going to play him thinking, oh, what a matchup. Yeah. He's going to go off. The team's going to put up 35 points. They're going to go out there and he's going to throw 2 picks right off the bat and then a fumble on the 3rd drive. And you're sitting there saying, what is going on? When did this?
Why do I have negative 6 points?
When did the Seahawks defense become this ball hawking, terrifying team? This is a really, really weird one for me. I'm going to trust the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are going to get it done in LA. And the matchup I'm most excited for is the DK Metcalf versus Jalen Ramsey one.
Oh my God.
I think that's going to be I think that's going to get chippy. Jalen Ramsey's not going to back down from any press coverage. And DK Metcalf is not a big man. Yeah, he is a big man. He loves the contact. He doesn't mind the contact. He welcomes the contact, and he's fast. This is going to be a really, really fun matchup to watch. And I want to see Russell Wilson. Throw his way, even though Jalen Ramsey's on him. I want to see that beautiful deep ball that we've been seeing all season.
I'm excited. I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one, too. I wanted to defer with you, but the only thing right there is the fact that, you brought up DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey. That's going to be matchup of the week. But when DK Metcalf is lined up against a really good corner, there's another guy Russell Wilson throws to on the other side of the ball, Tyler Lockett. And, he's going to have – he could have one of those games this week that we've seen in fantasy this year where he explodes. And what I really want to see is the Seattle offense just doing what they've been doing. Sure, their defense is the worst. Giving up 362 pass yards per game, fine. But their offense is scoring 34 points a game. You can throw all over them, but you still have to outscore the Seahawks team. I don't think that LA on the offensive side will be that high scoring this week. Like you said, this could be a interesting Jared Goff game where, he is intimidated at points and it ruins the flow of the offense. We could see that, or he could go off. I'm hoping he does, but I am going to take Seattle in that as well. This next one, we got Sunday Night Football. Couple of interesting teams here. Last year, when we saw this game, it was a premier matchup in the NFL. This year, Baltimore is still a premier team to play. But this matchup is to prove a lot of people wrong. Cam and Lamar need to show off their arms tomorrow with the way that their passing offenses have looked the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, these passing offenses have not looked good whatsoever. It sucks to say because last year the Baltimore Ravens were such a powerhouse, and obviously what the Patriots have done throughout the dynasty with Tom Brady. We've seen flashes of what Cam Newton can do with this offense, throwing the ball really well against the Seahawks, like we were just talking about. Yeah. But I think you're right. This is going to come down to who can pass better. I think we know that Bill Belichick can easily put up a scheme that will do everything that they can to make Lamar Jackson forced to throw the ball. And that means he's going to need to throw the ball well. I do think that the Ravens are going to win this game.
Yeah.
I think it's because like how they've been winning a lot of their games, their defense is really, really good. And it's hard to move the ball against their defense unless you're Patrick Mahomes or you're Ben Roethlisberger, as we've seen so far this year. And I think that the Patriots are now a little bit undermanned. There's a lot of people questionable. We've seen Thuney, Mason, Wynn. These are big name guys big name offensive linemen, and they might be in, but having them questionable before such a large game with high impacts for both teams, it's not what you want to see. And I think that they can really take advantage of that as the Ravens get after Cam Newton, make him uncomfortable. And when he does drop back and you're able to get after him, make him to force a throw that he doesn't want to throw that goes right into Marcus Peters' hands, right into Marlon Humphrey's hands.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to be a little bit outmatched again, the Patriots, and Ravens are going to beat them in back-to-back years.
I see the Ravens taking this one as well. I think that Cam Newton just is not getting it done in the passing game. He only has 1,400 yards right now. He is on pace for this season to throw only 2,800 yards. I'm not loving this. Honestly, he's on pace right now to rush for 16 touchdowns and pass for 4 touchdowns. So he needs to, the next couple of weeks, progress. We saw him last week do very well. He went off to Jacoby Myers. He had 10 catches on his 24th birthday. Shout out Jacoby Myers. But the thing is like, he won that game with his arm.
And it's the Jets. Well, it's also the Jets defense.
Yeah. Like
this is not the Jets defense. It's the Ravens.
He's going to have to – he needs to bring it. And he's not going to be able to run here and run there. They are the best contained team in the league.
They practice against Lamar Jackson every single week. They know how to stop a running quarterback if need be.
Exactly. And not only – no disrespect to Cam. Totally, he's definitely a bigger tank. But Lamar is faster, quicker. He has – a lot of little shifty moves about him on the field. Yeah, elusive. Perfect word. And, he's been able to just really get things done for them. I love this Baltimore defense, as you mentioned, top. And they have the top rushing attack. They're playing old school football right now in Baltimore. Good rushing, hard defense. It's Ravens.
Absolutely. I got one question, though. Who gets more passing yards and passing touchdowns, Lamar Jackson or Cam Newton?
I'm going to have to take Lamar Jackson because, the way Cam has been passing right now, he is not scoring through the air. He needs to get it done, as I mentioned. But Lamar, I think that if Stephon Gilmore is out again for the Patriots, I think that they could do what the Jets did last week and expose this secondary of the Patriots with, Lamar's arm. I want to see Lamar really utilize it in the passing game, so I'm going to go with him on that one.
And then I got one more question because I just remembered he was promoted to the active roster. We didn't really get to see him a lot last week for the Ravens.
Jeez. Is it
Dez Bryant? Does Dez Bryant get a touchdown? Are we going to see a handful of receptions, targets for Dez Bryant? I just like the signing because I think he's a red zone threat. I just like the signings. I think he's a red zone threat. Exactly. I don't know if it's the same Dez Bryant, but I feel like it could be really fun in the red zone to see Dez Bryant line up.
The Dez thing is very intriguing to me. I love it. I want to see him at least get 5 targets this week. My man got no targets last week. Give him something. If you're standing there on the goal line, they're obviously going to run like QB powers and run the read options, but go get our man Dez Bryant a touchdown this week. He hasn't scored and my man hasn't been in the end zone in 3 years.
Look for the fade. Just look for it. One time. Just for fun. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope that you enjoy the Sunday late afternoon games and the Sunday night games.
Of course. Thank you all for listening. Just saying YouTube, just saying football.com, just saying football on YouTube, and just saying no G, WJS on Instagram for all your article updates and video updates as well. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.